Welcome to my YouTube channel Anil Parashar. When you are granted a visa by a US embassy or consulate, you will most likely end up with a US visa stamp inside your passport. Knowing how to read a US visa stamp is valuable for any visa holder, as inaccurate information could prevent you from being able to enter the US. When you arrive at a US port of entry, a Customs and Border Protection (CBP) officer will examine your US visa stamp to determine if you should be allowed into the US. All of the information on the visa stamp must be correct. Here use the following guide to learn how to read a US visa stamp. 1. Your name. This field will contain your surname, family name, followed by your given name. It should match the information on the biometric page of your passport exactly. 2. Issuing post name. This is typically the US embassy or consulate that granted you the visa. 3. Sex. The sex printed on your visa stamp should match the sex on your passport. 4. Birth date. Once again, this should match the date on your passport exactly. 5. Control number. What is a visa control number? It is simply a number issued by the US Department of State to track visa issuance. In most cases, this number will not be important to the visa holder. 6. Visa. If you have a standard passport, you will see an R here, which is an abbreviation for regular. 7. Type class. This field indicates the type of visa you've been issued. For instance, if you are traveling to the US as a visitor, you will see B1, B2 here. 8. Visa number. Your visa number is sometimes called a visa foil number. For newer visa stamps, it will be printed in red and will contain either 8 numbers or 1 letter followed by 7 numbers. 9. Visa expiration date. The expiration date on your visa is the last day you are allowed to seek entry into the US using this visa. 10. Issue date. This is the date the US consulate or embassy issued your visa. 11. Annotation. This field can include additional information about your visa if necessary. For instance, a student entering the US on an F1 student visa may have their SEVIS number and school name in this field. 12. Entries. This is the number of times you are allowed to apply for entry to the US on this visa. If you see an M here, it means you can seek entry multiple times with no limit for the period the visa is valid. 13. Passport number. This field should match your passport number exactly. If it does not, you may have difficulty gaining entry into the US. Important notes. The visa expiration date does not determine the length of your stay in the US, it only determines the last date you can use the visa to enter the US. Always ensure your passport is valid for at least 6 months beyond your intended stay in the USA. Thank you. Please subscribe and support me.